Hi, and welcome to Caterpillar Cross Stitch. My name is Ford, and this week I'm going to share with you my secret recipe for a cross stitch washing spray that will get your stitches cleaner than anything you've ever used before. Now, I want to take just a second here to ask you to please subscribe to the channel. If you learn anything from me, like the video and leave me a comment down below. It doesn't cost you anything other than a few seconds, but it really helps me out. So if you've gotten anything out of any of the videos I've made, I'd really appreciate it if you'd do that. And hey, if you have a question you'd like to see me answer, put it in the comments and I'll see if I can do something for you. It is unfortunately just a fact of our hobby that we have to touch our projects in order to stitch them. Personally, I don't really want to wear white gloves the whole time that I'm handling it, so that means that some amount of oils and dirt and dead skin cells from my fingers are going to wind up on my project, no matter how careful I am, especially anywhere that the hoop is on the project. That's where I'm going to be touching it the most, and so I'm usually going to wind up with these kind of little phantom ghost lines there. Now, I like to stitch in the well because it reduces the amount of me touching the front of my project. Make sure you go check out over here. Make sure you go check out this video about how that's done and why I do that. And that'll help you understand what you see of me using it. But even with that measure, I still wind up with some oil and some dirt on my project. So I need to wash it when I'm done. Even if it's not really visible at the time that I'm done, if I don't wash that oil out, it is going to discolor the project over time, and then I'll have to unframe it and then wash it and then reframe it, and that'll be even more of a pain in the neck. So I'm going to teach you about the special washing fluid that I make in order to get my stitches as clean as possible. Don't forget to join the Caterpillar Cross Stitch Stitch Club email. It's a newsletter that includes all the latest goings on with Caterpillar Cross Stitch, including any upcoming projects, retreats, lives, that kind of stuff, and advance notice of any upcoming stitch-alongs. You definitely want to hit the link down there in the description so you don't miss out on all the latest Caterpillar happenings. We're using a couple of different chemical combinations here in order to maximize the amount that the water can penetrate into the fabric and lift away both the dirt and the oil. Of course, most of us, the first thing that we would think of is a soap for that, right? And we are going to be using a soap in this, but we don't need the soap to be as concentrated as it would normally be. So we're going to actually reduce the concentration on it. That also makes it a lot less expensive. So what I'm going to be using are some things that you may very well already have around your house. The first is just some dishwashing liquid. I've labeled this Dusk, but you can probably guess what that is. Although I think it's named Pixie in the UK, something like that. I have also gone to my local supermarket, and in the pharmacy aisle, I found this little personal spray bottle. This holds about 8 ounces, which is about 1/4 of a liter, which is the perfect size for the batch of spray that I want to make. And then the last ingredient you might already have laying around the house, or you might not, and that is some ethanol. Ethanol is an alcohol and as such is a pretty efficient solvent. I like ethanol in particular because it evaporates more slowly than isopropanol, which is the rubbing alcohol that you might have around. Now, if you don't keep or don't want to have ethanol in your household, then isopropanol makes a pretty decent substitute, although you'd use half as much of it as I'm going to recommend. Or you can go to a hobby store, and not a craft store, a hobby store where they sell RC cars and model trains and that kind of stuff, and you can buy a can of denatured or methylated ethanol. That's the same ethanol, but it's had an agent added to it that makes it unpalatable, so no one would ever even dream of drinking it. But I like ethanol the best for this because it doesn't evaporate quite as quickly. So all we're going to do is we're going to take my 250 milliliter spray bottle here, and we're going to add somewhere around 15 milliliters of our dishwashing liquid. Obviously, we could make many, many batches of it with this one small bottle. And then we're going to add about 30 milliliters of our alcohol. Now, like I said, if you're using isopropanol, rubbing alcohol, you want to use about half that much because it's twice as concentrated as vodka. And then what we want to do is just top that off with a spray bottle full of a pretty diluted dishwashing liquid with a kicker of alcohol to it. alcohol is a pretty efficient solvent. I don't know if you've ever gotten pen ink on a shirt that you really cared about or something like that, but vodka, or even better, Everclear, is pretty much the best thing to use to get that out. Hand sanitizer works pretty well too. A lot of those also contain ethanol. Isopropanol also works well, but it evaporates so fast that it often just evaporates and redeposits whatever you were trying to remove. So that's why I like the ethanol. Now, if you follow the channel, you probably heard me go on and on about the value of community, like the community that surrounds the Caterpillar Cross Stitch brand. There are tens of thousands of stitchers in the Instagram and in the Facebook group, and there's hundreds of thousands of years of experience that you could be taking advantage of in order to learn more about the craft. I'm happy that you're here with me, but there's a whole community out there that you should go get in on. So then all I'll do when I'm cleaning a project is I'll spray it on there. You'll see it creates a little bit of foam. Now if you use a misting spray bottle, which you can find those, but they're a little more expensive than the $1 that I spent on this, then it'll actually create a foam on the surface as well, which is nice. But this more diluted solution of the soap plus the ethanol, the soap really helps the water get in there. That's mostly how soap works, is it reduces the surface tension of water so that the water can get deeper into the fibers of the fabric and lift the dirt out. So that's going to get rid of the dirt and the dead skin cells and that kind of stuff from the surface of the fabric. But oils are a little bit harder. Oil and water famously do not mix very well. So you need something that will dissolve the oil and that will then dissolve in the water. And that's where the ethanol comes in. It dissolves all of those oils that have been deposited in the fabric, and then it allows you to rinse it back out. And that's part of why I like the ethanol instead of the isopropanol, is because it will keep it in suspension long enough for you to then rinse it back out. Now, if you want my full tutorial on how to wash a finished cross stitch, go hit this little card over here, and that'll take you to my lesson on that. And those techniques are very, very tried and true for me and have given me really excellent results over the years. And this is a relatively new innovation in my technique that I've found to make a really, really big difference. In fact, it worked so well that one project that I washed years ago and I couldn't quite get the hoop burn out of it, I pulled it back out of the frame and I used this and it came right out like a miracle. So this is one of my tricks that I've learned from my years of cross-stitching and doing my own finishing and framing as a frugal person. So hopefully it can help you out as well. I do want to thank you so much for watching. For Caterpillar Cross Stitch, my name is Ford, and I'll see you next time.